Hi, welcome back to another episode of Garage Shock Sports. I'm Bobby.
I'm Mills.
And I'm Nick. I didn't know what order.
I know, I didn't either.
Yeah, I was a little thrown off there with me doing the intro, but it's good to be back in the garage. We had a good Christmas. Hope everyone at home as well. But we're going to get into our hot spots first. Then we got a little bit of MLB offseason. Of course, we got some Week 16 highlights. And our Bears talk of the week. It was very unimpressive Bears week. But we'll break that down for you. And then, of course, we got Nick's question of the week to end us off.
You ready for a zinger today, boys?
Yeah, so who wants to take us first with their hot spots?
We'll go to Nick first. But first, Bobby, decent job on the intro.
job.
Give you some props for it. We threw you to the wolves on this
You
one.
did. Yeah.
Kind of decided seconds before we started recording that you were going to do it. So I give you props for it.
Thank you.
So-
Yeah.
Round of applause.
We'll get you better at it.
Yeah.
Now you can be thrown in the mix. Save my beautiful voice.
Yeah.
All right, let's calm down.
But yeah, no, Nick, you go ahead and lead with your hot spot.
Yeah, my hot spots, it happened last night. It was Luka Doncic. 60 points, 21 assists, 10 rebounds. He's just
First ever 60-20-10.
he's just insane. Like it's the NBA game is shifting to now where taller people are bringing the ball up the court. Back when I first started watching basketball, it was like 6'2", 6'3" was still like wow, that's a tall point guard. And then it was the Ben Simmons era where like he jumped in and he was like, that's a 6'5" guy who's a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
And it was him, and then it was now some bigs like Giannis are starting to bring the ball up the court. But to me, Luka, I was like, he can't be a true point guard. Every time I saw him, I was like, eventually he's going to get moved to the 2 or the 3. He's just too big. And then he's turned 21 assists out there, and it's just like,
He's a phenom.
I mean, I was proved wrong 2 or 3 years ago when he started becoming a stud and doing this consistently.
Yeah.
But now you throw 21 assists out there. If there's any doubters left that he can't be a true point guard, I would like to know what you're thinking.
Yeah, no, Luka's a stud. Yeah, I get your point, like the shift to the bigger point guards and everything. And yeah, it's tough for the smaller guys out there now. Steph Curry, Trae Young, those smaller guys, they still do well for themselves, obviously. But like the big bodies, the physicality is just changing a little bit. Plus with, I don't want to get into too much, but there's some more ticky-tacky stuff in the NBA nowadays.
Yeah.
That favors the big guys pretty heavily as well because they can draw that contact way easier. It was a very impressive performance, though. First time ever in NBA history where a team was down 9 seconds with 35, or down 9 points with 35 seconds left.
Down 30 with 9 seconds.
Yeah,
remaining
down-
would be an absolute travesty of a comeback.
What a collapse that would have to be. But no, 9 seconds down. 9 points down 9 points with 35 seconds. Teams were 0 in like 13,300 something in that scenario. Now it's 1 in 13,300 and something in that scenario. So shout out Luka Doncic. Also, heads up, guys. I don't know if you can hear it. My voice is a little
Yeah, also
Yeah.
Your brain is also.
it's just it's gonna be one of those episodes. But no,
It's going to be the Nick and Bobby show.
It might become the Nick and Bobby show, but it was a very impressive performance from Luka. Once again, cementing himself among the NBA's elites. For anyone who still doubts him, if you do, you're crazy, first off. But if you are one of those people, just come on. Get with the times. Kind of
Exhibit
accept what
A
it is.
yesterday.
Dominating the Suns in the playoff, in the Western Cup. What was it, the semifinals last year?
Yeah. Semifinals. 'Cause then they
Dominating the
lost to
Suns, yeah.
Warriors.
It's like, come on. What are we... Luka's legit. He is him. End of
He's the
story.
guy.
He is him. Bobby, you want to go next? Or do you want me to go next?
I'll take it off. So Tua has entered the concussion protocol again this season for the 3rd time, man. Like at this point, I think it's just safe to say, like, you sit him for the rest of the season. Like,
Yeah, you got to shut
like-
Tua down.
like you gotta be concerned for his safety at some point, and like 3 concussions in that short of a time is not good for anyone.
It's terrible.
Like-
It's really not safe at all.
I'm just hoping, and my fingers are crossed, that Mike McDaniels actually knows nothing about this. Because if he does,
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing.
I understand coaches like Josh McDaniels and Nathaniel Hackett are having a hard time. But if you're putting the risk of an actual human being out there just so that your job is safe, you're scum of the earth.
Yeah,
if you're
no,
like,
you-
I'm forcing him
especially-
out there.
Especially head injuries of
Yeah.
all things. Like,
And especially how bad it was.
Sometimes you can get away with convincing a player to play through like a tweaked hamstring or whatever. But we're talking head injuries, concussions, all the science about CTE coming out. For McDaniel's sake, I really, really hope that. Well, he says that no one informed him on Sunday of Tua's situation. So if that's the case,
Then
you're like, I would be happy to hear that his hands are washed free of it because I like him as a coach, and I really would hate for him to turn out where he's the dude who's willing to take that risk with his players.
yeah.
He doesn't strike me as someone who would, but at the same time, like who on that staff is letting you down so heavily?
I think
you've been under fire twice now.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah.
This is the third time.
This is a third strike where I think the NFL. I've been very upset with the NFL because they're all about player safety. They changed rules, and we talked about it earlier with the was it Devontae Parker, whoever it was, where Jacoby Myers had to purposely jump off side so that a guy who's stumbling and can't even stand to himself.
Yeah.
NFL needs to anytime like if Roquan Smith goes down, he's holding his shoulder and he goes in the medical tent. An NFL person, an outside source, doesn't need to go in there and be like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that he's getting evaluated fine. That's his shoulder. Yes, it still should be good. But if he goes in for a head injury, that should be an independent from the team doctor making the call of whether he's
It's supposed to be.
Because of course, if you're the team doctor for the Dolphins, you don't want to say no, he can't go. But also, your job's not in question. You're doing your job. If you say he can't play, he can't play.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just like, gosh, I don't.
No, the NFL, they've put all these things in place. You have the neutral spotter who's supposed to look out for that stuff, but there's so many instances where they fail to see it.
Yeah.
How many times do we watch someone who like takes a bad shot to the head or whatever, stumble, look really dazed, and no one says get off the field?
Yep.
Like we see that at home. How the hell does the professional being paid to watch and look out for that stuff not?
Yeah.
But then they'll take a guy out and go, oh, I saw something there, and it's like, so you'll see like the smallest things that like most people miss. But when you have something like Devontae Parker's a great example, a dude who can't fucking, pardon my language, who cannot stand up straight, who can't stand still without wobbling, and you're not going to say anything. What, are you getting a hot dog? Are you in the bathroom or something? What's the deal with that? Like, that's the stuff that pisses me off, is that there's no consistency when it comes to this stuff with the NFL. It's all this fake BS about, oh, we care about player safety, but you really fail at every corner to actually care about player safety.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they don't care about player safety, but they sure have a funny way of showing how much they care,
Yeah.
considering how little they actually do and how many times their protocols fail.
Yeah.
Concussion protocol, I'm sorry. You can't evaluate a concussion in 5 minutes talking with someone in a blue tent.
No. Like,
That's the
Bless you.
problem is like Tua, by all accounts, Tua could have gone into the blue tent and they could have done what day is it? What day is it tomorrow? How old are you? Where are you? What's your name? What's your mom's maiden name? Give all the tests and everything. You can pass those and you could still have concussion symptoms.
yeah.
Like, now I'm sure they do a little bit more, but my point is like concussions aren't that you can't diagnose that in 5 minutes time.
Yeah.
It's something you have to watch him for a prolonged amount of time. And you don't have that luxury. I get it when it's happening on the sidelines, but it's still like you have the play in question, right? Everyone saw it where he slammed the back of his head. First off, from that point on, you can see the difference in him playing on the field.
Yeah.
That's something you should take. Your coaches should notice that.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, an offensive coordinator should be able to look at that and go, wow, Tua took that bad hit and now he sucks ass. There's something's up here.
Yeah.
He can't
And
throw
like-
a ball to save his life.
Yeah. It's like, then at that point, you're risking his health. Like, obviously, you have a capable backup in Teddy Bridgewater. So it's like, just move to the backup. Like,
Yeah, Tua needs to don't put him out there anymore.
Yeah. Like,
Let Teddy Bridgewater try and get you to the playoffs.
And-
Give Tua a couple weeks because concussions, especially if you keep adding up, they're more and more volatile, and the recovery is
Well, I
longer.
think he's still screwed up from you get hurt in the Bills game, you come back in that game, you don't take any more hits, but then you play 4 days later on Thursday night and get slammed to the ground. Perfectly legal hit. Like, that's not.
Yeah,
it wasn't malicious. But
Yeah.
like,
And
his head
boom,
snapped back
you
against the
freeze.
ground. Now that's 2 concussions in 4 days. You're already setting a bad problem with your concussions.
Yeah.
Now you're playing the sport still that's still super dangerous. So he's perfectly fine now. But now, I think the NFL needs to change the rules where if you're having concussion problems throughout the year, you get a lot shorter of a leash. Where it's like, if you come up and you do this with your head, you're out for at least 5 minutes, 7 minutes, and someone's sitting there timing that because it's like I don't think anyone else who gets their head slammed probably doesn't get a concussion there, but he's already had 2.
Yeah, you're more susceptible as you
the
continue
game.
to have concussions.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the science.
Yeah.
The more you have, the more susceptible you are to them in the future. It's just frustrating for Tua's health and for his sake. Dude's got to. He's not playing this weekend.
That's good.
Yeah,
They're not playing him. Good. Reevaluate him if anything going into next week. But this is like put the person before the player is how I see it.
And I get it. They're on the brink of playoffs. They're in the wild card. So, like,
But they have Teddy Bridgewater, who's capable.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you have a capable backup, use him.
You're not throwing out a no-name who hasn't started or been around the league.
Yeah, like what's
Teddy
that?
Bridgewater is perfectly okay.
The Skylar, their third
Skylar
string.
Thompson.
Yeah, Skylar Thompson.
And he didn't even do that bad when he came.
Yeah,
in.
no,
For a
he
little
wasn't
bit. It's
bad.
Like, okay, yeah, he's not going to be great because he's not. Not everyone's going to be your third depth chart guy. Is going to be Brock Purdy, who can just step into any offense and be fine.
Right.
But your offense is good enough.
Yeah,
Your running backs are fine. You got Tyreek Hill. You got Mike Gesicki. You got
stud
Jalen
wider.
Waddle.
You have a stud receiving core. You have a decent run game. You're fine.
Yeah, like
Teddy Bridgewater should be able to get your team a win with that. He just should. But it's whatever, man. The Tua stuff's frustrating.
yeah, that's
I'll go into my hot spot, and this kind of will help lead into our brief little MLB conversation as well. So, as you guys know, for 2 straight weeks, I've been reporting on Carlos Correa. I have week 3. The Carlos Correa controversy continues. That's a lot of C's. That's fun. So apparently, Carlos Correa suffered a leg injury in 2014. That's how far back we're going. 8 years, had to have his leg surgically repaired. And teams, cough, the Giants, and now the Mets, who were reported to have offered him a massive 13-year contract or whatever it was. Now they're concerned about the stability and the long-term health of this leg that he had surgically repaired 8 years ago. And so now that contract might fall through, which would make it twice this has happened to Correa this offseason. And I don't know what to make of it anymore. Maybe don't try and sign the dude to a 13-year contract.
yeah, like
This is you know what? That's the Scott Boras bed. Go ahead, make it. Good luck with that. Scott Boras isn't going to, a team will give him 13 years or 10 plus years for $300+ million. We'll see it happen.
Yep.
But it's like, what do you want, Mets? Like, what this is the game you said. This is what teams are setting for players now is we'll lock you up for the rest of your career, even though it'll be a bad contract no matter who you are for the last 3 years, regardless.
yeah.
But this is what it is. Why do you care? What's the difference between signing Correa until he's 42 versus signing someone else until they're 42? From age 38 on, they're going to suck ass anyways. That contract's going to screw you anyways.
Yeah.
So if his surgically repaired leg is starting to give out when he's freaking 38 years old, tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's what happens when you sign guys
I
to
think the
12-year
big problem
contracts.
now is I saw an article that was released. I don't know if it was last night or this morning, but apparently in a game last year, he either slid into second or someone slid into him, and he came out of the game with an injury. And then he told the trainer, I felt my leg go completely numb when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Giants read that and then asked Correa about it, and they said, "No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that was a lie." So then they went to the team doctor. He said, "No, that's what he said." And he said it hurt him for the next couple of days.
Mm.
So I think that's why the Giants backed out, because they were like, this is clearly something that just happened last year.
Yeah.
Because I was on the same side of the fence. I was like, if you're going 8 years back, that's kind of hard to like judge.
But,
Because
my thing is his production hasn't dipped.
No.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Besides last year, he's on a new team, but it's going to happen. Like, it's
yeah,
not like
and
it went
he still
crazy
had a decent year. Like
Yeah.
Carlos Correa still is a Gold Glove caliber corner shortstop or Gold Glove caliber shortstop. I don't know why I said corner, but he would be playing third base for the Mets. They said if he
And
does
the
sign,
Giants, he would have been playing.
so he would have been so then he would have played the corner. Whatever. He's Gold Glove caliber defender. He's got power. He doesn't have tons of speed, but he's never had tons of speed. He's got like above average speed. So he had a little dip in production. I'm willing to bet it wasn't his leg injury from 2014.
No.
Like, and so why do you? I get it. You care because, oh man, we don't want this to become a factor in the later years of his contract. Age in itself will become a factor.
Yeah,
at that
like
point.
it's gonna catch up to anybody.
I'm sorry.
Like, regardless,
You're telling me 12 years from now, your mainstay third baseman is going to be Carlos Correa?
No.
Just
Yeah.
like Albert Pujols was the mainstay first baseman
For the Angels.
for the Angels his last 2 years until they traded him, and then he signed last year. Like, it's like all of those contracts, no matter how healthy the person has been their entire career, the last 2 to 3 years is always an albatross. It's every year. That's age. That's baseball. Like, the body shuts down on its own. Those guys, their bat speed slows down. They have trouble keeping up with the fastball, stuff like that. It just happens. So
true.
what are you expecting? That you're going to keep Carlos? You're going to get 27-year-old Carlos Correa until he's 42? No, that doesn't happen. It just isn't how it goes.
Yeah.
So it's just so stupid. It's like teams have been reckless with these contracts, and now they're going to be nitpicky with the same contracts. You don't get both. Sorry. You want to be reckless and set the precedent that every player who's like in the upper tier of talent gets to sign for 10 plus years. You did that to yourselves. That's the bed you made. You have to sleep in it. Sorry. Like, what? It just is so annoying. I hate the way that free agency and these contracts happen in the MLB. It pisses me off.
Yeah.
It's just as stupid. That's my whole thing. That's my hot spot. And with that, we'll kind of talk into some MLB offseason winners. I know I'm crucifying the Mets right now, but I actually have the Mets as my main winner of the MLB offseason.
I have them too.
They've had a good offseason.
They really had a good offseason. And like they were right there last year. Like so you would hope that this is only going to improve them.
I mean, if Carlos Correa
if you
stays,
get Correa,
your offense is James McCann at catcher, which is a pretty solid catcher. Then you got
plus
Pete
whoever
Alonso.
that rookie is their top prospect.
You got Jeff McNeil, Francisco Lindor, and Carlos Correa.
And you have Ahmed Rosario on reserve.
And Ahmad Rosario. So it's
and
like
then
you have so much.
You have
Brandon
arguably
Nimmo in the outfield.
Yeah.
Like you just got so much. And yes, you lost DeGrom, but guess what? You brought in Justin Verlander, who seems to be defying the tests of time.
And they should give him a 13-year contract that rolls into age 42. He could probably handle it now.
Didn't they have like Matt Harvey too?
Yeah,
That's a blast from the
Dark
Knight.
Yeah.
His career
was
fell
old,
off
right?
so fast. He was good for like 2 years, and then he lost his fastball.
Yeah.
He was like Matt Harvey was like among the first like flame throwing starting pitchers. Yeah. Like there was a point in time where like you were lucky to have a couple bullpen guys that could flirt with 100 plus. And then Matt Harvey came around and was like, yeah, I can go 7 innings and throw like 98, 99 pretty consistently.
Yeah. And then people hit his fastball and they're like, oh, you don't have a number 2 pitch? And he goes, well, no.
Yeah. So then he had to work on control and command with his off-speed stuff, and he lost the fastball. And Matt Harvey's been pretty much meh since that happened.
Yeah.
But he was on top of the world for a couple years.
He was.
As a starting pitcher.
Yeah, and then
it all catches up to you.
Yeah.
That's my only thing is where I put the Rangers one above the Mets.
Rangers were my number 2.
Because you scooped
my number 2.
DeGrom out of that rotation and puts him into your rotation, which their rotation was pretty weak at the top. It's like they had decent depth, but it was struggling to get through that first or second game of a important series. But look at their lineup. Yeah, Jonah Heim, you got Marcus Semien and Corey Seager, who they really didn't amount to much last year, but it's like now this is year 2.
Yeah, so
they're gonna be back to production.
Corey Seager started to come on though towards the end of the year.
It's like, but you were expected to turn the 4th place Rangers into the 1st place Rangers. And it was like, that was too much to expect.
But they also went and signed, I think today they signed Nathan Eovaldi as well.
Okay, yeah, they needed some. It's tough when I remember a couple Mariners games, they lost like 11-8. Like, you can't blame Marcus Semien and Corey Seager for that. Your offense is putting up 8 runs.
Yeah, like that.
But your pitchers are giving up 12. Like, you're chasing 7 at the start of the game.
Yeah, their big need this year was pitching staff. They're pretty solid, like you mentioned. I do like Jonah Heim. I think he's an underrated young catcher. Switch hitter as well. I like switch hitters. But they have a solid lineup.
Who's that outfielder? Calhoun?
They have Cole Calhoun. They have Adolis Garcia.
Adolis Garcia is their
okay.
He's their piece in the outfield.
Okay.
No, I like what the Rangers are doing. Like I said, I have them at number 2. Purely for the DeGrom signing alone, I have them at number 2.
Yeah, like that is huge.
Their offense is good enough, especially now if you can get Semien and Seager to put a full season together of like strong offense. It seemed like last year you got one of them was on and the other one was slumping. You get those 2 guys at the middle of your order, like just rolling. That offense can be lethal. And then now you have a shutdown starting pitcher in Jacob DeGrom, who you hope can stay healthy throughout the contract for most of it, but he's also one of those big contracts, and it'll be an albatross towards the end. It happens with all of them.
But I'm expecting like next year you can get 15 minutes from him because your offense should produce over 5 runs. And what did DeGrom give up over 5 runs twice? I think last year. So it's
one of them was to the Cubs. The Cubs rocked him last
year.
year.
Yeah, they did. It was.
So it's like DeGrom. I like the signing. Now he doesn't have to hit, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although wait, isn't I keep forgetting, is the universal DH a thing?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It started this year.
Yeah, 1 year. So now he's for sure not gonna have to hit.
Yeah, okay. I keep losing track of that rule.
But my third in the group, because I think all of us had 1 and 2, was Rangers, Mets. For me, I put the Braves, not for who they signed. They signed Sean Murphy yesterday. Mm-hmm. So that's another catcher piece, good catcher. But for me, they have so many guys locked up for a long time. They have Austin Riley locked up for 7 years. They have Max Fried locked up until 2024, so at least 2 years of him. Mm-hmm. You have Ronald Acuna Jr. until 2030. You have Ozzie Albies until 2030. Yep. The only guy you lost, Dansby Swanson, which is going to be tough to replace, but you have Austin Riley. You have Matt Olson until 2028. It's like when you put that many guys out there, then come free agent time or trade deadline time, you can go get a piece because you're like, as long as we don't touch these 12 guys, everyone else is going to be out in the next couple of years anyway. But these guys will have studs for the rest of their contracts.
Yeah, you got like the core in place for like, to make a run.
For my third team was the Yankees. As much as I can't stand the Yankees, not being able to keep Aaron Judge was huge for them.
Yeah.
That was if you lost Aaron Judge, there goes a large portion of your offensive production for your team right there. 60 home run season says everything you need to already. Plus, his defense is really good. That's something I don't think casual baseball fans realize how good of a defensive player Aaron Judge is. So keeping him was huge. And you know what? You have Jason Dominguez in your minor league system. He can become I think he's a blue chip prospect. He'd be really good for you. And you kept most of your guys there. So they were already a really good team. They didn't lose their best player. They managed to bring him back when everyone thought he wasn't coming back, myself included.
Anthony Rizzo
stayed. Back. Like you retained the pieces you needed to retain.
Yeah.
And just not a lot has happened in this offseason outside of the stuff we already talked about with the Mets and the Rangers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is like wave 1 of offseason.
Yeah. The MLB offseason will go well into
March.
Like you could
right
see
before spring training.
Yeah, like right before spring training is when you'll see a lot of dominoes fall.
That's true.
So it's kind of hard to judge based when there's only been very limited action. But what has happened has been big on the Mets and Rangers part.
Yeah.
But they're the 2 most active teams. So what else is going to happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I have to give it to the Cubs because I expected nothing going into this season. All right. Absolutely nothing. I thought, you know what? If we sign one big free agent, I'll be okay with that. But we landed Cody Bellinger, Dansby Swanson. You signed James Taillon.
Taillon.
It's close.
It's one of those names. It's a weird one. I'll give it to you.
He was good on the Yankees. So like you have
2 innings.
Yeah, you have a good like pitching staff. You got your infield locked up. And yeah, it sucks losing Willie. That's
but
huge
you knew
blow.
that was going to come.
But
like,
yeah,
Cubs fan, you can't be that mad.
Yeah, but they got Tucker Barnhart, who's okay.
Yeah,
he's good enough.
And then you have
who's Tucker Barnhart?
That guy. We have Jan Gomes still, who's pretty good.
I like Jan. I've always liked Jan Gomes.
Yeah, I'm starting to think they might move him to first though.
They might.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. The Cubs are almost like. You kind of know, like, Dansby Swanson's going to play short, Cody Bellinger's going to play center, and then pretty much it's just like, we're going to try to piece together the other 7 people in our order.
Yeah.
Nico Horner is going to play second, most likely.
Yeah, he already said he's cool with switching. Like, he said he does not mind.
No, I get the logic behind the Cubs. The Bellinger signing that's a boom or bust kind of play.
Yeah.
If you get MVP, Rookie of the Year, Cody Bellinger back, okay, that's a high value big 1-year signing. Dansby Swanson was the shocking one. Well, actually, Cody Bellinger shocked me just as much because I thought there was no chance he would entertain coming to the Cubs.
Yeah.
I didn't think he would entertain going somewhere where, it's cold. You know what I mean?
Me neither. I thought he would stay on the West Coast, to be honest.
And
I thought
interesting that he went to a team that wasn't competing.
That was my next point is I thought for sure he would go, okay, I'm going to go sign with the team that's in like the running to win now. and like I'm going to prove my worth with that team, and then I'm going to go get a massive contract from another team, because usually coming off of 1.5 seasons of down, like not playing up to what you're used to, you're not going to get that big deal. It's just not going to happen. But you might get a team that's like already built to win. Who's like, screw it, why not? Cody Bellinger, we get him to return.
Like the Brewers, where they were just outside, so it's like this should bump us into contention with the Cardinals.
Yeah, or I mean, I know he left the Dodgers, but say he was coming from a different team, the Dodgers, I'm sure, would have been all in on that. Yeah. But the Dodgers don't need him. They don't need to take that risk and everything. They'll give someone else a shot.
But also, I think that opened the gates for them to be able to get Dansby Swanson in. So it's like, you're coming here, we got Cody Bellinger.
A lot more than Jock Peterson, because like you're taking a risk if he's going to work out or not.
Yeah.
But at this point, you're not hoping for the playoffs. You're hoping for just improvement from last year.
Yeah.
When they signed Jock Peterson, it was like, this is going to make our team elite into the playoffs. And then Bobby found out halfway through the year that that was not going to happen.
True, but Jock went to the Braves and
Jocktober happened. Yeah.
But he sucks on the Cubs.
Pearl necklace.
I just like this part of like the sports season, because you watch like MLB preseason is starting, so it's like, what's the future going to hold? And then the NFL, you have the two opposites of like, most people's seasons are done, but then you have those last people that are fighting in to see what's going to hold.
Yeah, we're reaching the end of the regular season.
And then like
the draft order is shaping up in that top 10.
Like you have the teams like the Texans, which to me is like where the Cubs were halfway through the year. It's like, well, we could get rid of all of our players like Wilson Contreras, because we know we're not going to make the playoffs. And then you have a team like the Texans, which they're pretty much done. But then they
still go and win a
beat
game.
The Titans to just screw up the whole AFC South. They're like, you know what? Let's cause some fucking
They
ripples.
shook everything. And with that, now if they get one more win, our beloved Chicago Bears hold the first overall pick, and they can go ahead and absolutely fleece someone in a trade for that if it comes down to it.
That's what I'm hoping. I think they can pull off.
No, I'm all in. I'm pro Texans. Win another game, please.
Not this week though. I'm pretty sure the Jags will.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
But here's the beauty of the AFC South right now. So it's some weird gymnastics you have to do with the standings to make it make sense. But no matter what happens to this weekend with Jacksonville and Tennessee, no matter if they both win, both lose, one win, one lose, the last game of the year, which is Jacksonville, or I think it's Jacksonville at Tennessee.
They're in Jacksonville.
So Tennessee at Jacksonville, week 18. That's for the division, no matter what happens this week. Because it's one of those weird things where the way the division standings work out.
Jacksonville lost to Tennessee, but they have a higher division record than Tennessee. So that's the tiebreaker that happens first.
Yes.
But if Jacksonville, no matter what happens this week, because we're playing non-conference teams, Jacksonville's playing Tennessee. Jacksonville's playing Texas. The Cowboys are
Houston,
playing Tennessee.
Which no matter, even if they win, if the Houston Texans somehow beat Jacksonville, which I don't think will happen, but it could.
It could.
If they beat Jacksonville's 3-3 in the division, or no, or what is it? There's something. They will have the same right. They will have the same in division record as Tennessee.
Yeah.
Which is why that game will have, because Tennessee is playing a non-division team. Yeah. Their records will be the same. The tiebreaker will come down to that game, and it's just like beautiful. We talked about this last week that this is it. This is Jacksonville's chance right here.
Yeah.
And because of the Tannehill injury sets it up.
Yeah. And we already know from last year where the Colts went down to Duval County and took an L and missed the playoffs. So I'm telling you, Jags going to the playoffs, man.
I think this is opening the door. This is Trevor Lawrence's like ascendance into like legit quarterback in the NFL. This is big, and I'm rooting for Jacksonville. I liked them when Blake Bortles was there. When when they got shafted. By the way, Miles Jack was not downed by contact in the AFC Championship game. Just going to throw that out there. But they got shafted by some bad refereeing, because once again, Tom Brady gets bailed out by the refs when he's not having a good game. Just tends to happen. Not happening this year though. Cough cough, losing record. You suck ass. Tom Brady should stay retired. Doesn't matter. You're a pathetic excuse of a team right there. No one's going to have any respect for a team with a losing record winning the division. That's just how it goes. But I digress.
Heineke is what made Taylor Heineke, because they were with a losing record.
Yes, I know, but it's different, okay? Because it's Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, Taylor Heineke, not Tom Brady.
The difference is that the Commanders, Washington football team at the time, or were they the Redskins at that time?
I think they were a football team.
Football team, yeah.
They were a football team for 2 years, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when the football team got there, no one thought they would get there, and then they somehow did by all You know, that was the Alex Smith injury that year. Everything that team was a miracle team. Everyone was rooting for that.
That was the year he came back.
Yeah.
Because he ended up making a start one of those games.
So it was the year he came back. Regardless, it was like, wow, this wounded little brother of ours has found their way there. And guess what? They gave the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Bucks a hard time in that first game. So
to me,
they're not comparable. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
no, but now with this, it's like I'm looking at Jacksonville. I've always liked Jacksonville too, but to me, for some reason, we talked about it last week going into the game. It was good offense versus a great defense, and it was pretty bad offense versus a pretty bad defense. But Jacksonville's defense looked really good.
Yeah.
I mean, you're also playing Chris Strabler, which we'll get to in a little bit.
And Zach Wilson at one point.
And Zach Wilson for a little bit. But Trevor Lawrence did not get fooled by Sauce Gardner and that elite Jets defense.
No, they looked good.
Quentin Williams had a good game defensively, but it was like they were kind of muted from Jacksonville, and I was very impressed. I was like, that sealed it for me. I was like, I think Jacksonville's going to win the division.
And something I forget about with Trevor Lawrence as well is I forget how athletic he is, like with his legs. You know, everyone kind of brought him up in the same conversation as Peyton Manning, and I feel like that kind of made me picture him as like pure pocket passer, not much of an extend the play kind of guy. But every time I watch him, I'm like, that's right. He can do. I forget that Trevor Lawrence can do all that stuff.
Yeah, he can run.
I mean, he is very impressive, and I'm happy for him because I would hate to see a dude who had like the expectations placed on him coming out of high school. Right? We're talking about this is the second coming of the greatest quarterback of all time, and this is it. This is the future at quarterback for the NFL. Like you're putting that on a high schooler, and it's like I would hate to see this dude come out and be another one of those guys that just doesn't have it. So, plus it would suck for Jacksonville, which is a team I like to root for. So it's cool. I do think Jacksonville is going to end up winning the division because, no disrespect to Malik Willis, you're not that guy. Pat.
Yeah, dude, that's a project quarterback right there.
And that was just this year's rookie quarterbacks, really.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, Kenny Pickett's been playing well.
Kenny Pickett's been developing, but he was the only first round quarterback.
Yeah,
you know.
Here's my thing: that the two guys you just mentioned. And Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, I think, would have had a much better season last year if Doug Peterson was his head coach.
Oh, yeah.
Urban Meyer was a great college coach.
He gets a pass for last year.
But I think
terrible.
I think it's tough, what you were saying. Since high school, Trevor Lawrence has been this high up. And then he had struggles. And he did not have a coach who also has always had success. Urban Meyer was always a playoff caliber coach. Like, they were always winning games. So it was like, he never also failed.
Yeah.
But Doug Peterson knows how to work through failure. I think Mike Vrabel for Malik Willis, he might take a couple years.
Doug Peterson was there when he helped build up the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did.
So Mike Vrabel is a good coach for Malik Willis. He's gonna be like, I know you're gonna struggle. I know we weren't expecting to be in this situation now, but he's gonna be good. And then Kenny Pickett with Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin's a great coach. So it's like,
Mike Tomlin's cemented. He's a Hall of Famer.
Three guys.
That's true. And
those three guys, I feel so much like. To me, those three quarterbacks with having those three coaches, even if they struggle for a couple of years, I wouldn't be like, all right, well, these coaches are going to help them lift up. It's going to be those coaches' problems.
Well, here's the thing. This is where I stand on Malik Willis, and similarly to Desmond Ridder. So I don't want it to sound like I'm only coming down on Malik Willis here. But this past draft season, the quarterback position was incredibly weak. I mean, we're talking among the weakest ever. First time,
only
like
one quarterback
in the first round was Kenny Pickett at what was he, 18 overall?
20.
20 overall.
Yeah.
What was it, like the first time in how many years a quarterback wasn't taken in the top 10?
I think it was probably
17 years.
It was something ridiculous.
Yeah, it was something crazy.
But because the quarterback talent was so weak, remember there were people talking about Malik Willis could be the first quarterback off the board.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with every draft season is because you have to find like three guys that are the big quarterbacks every draft. That's how it goes. We're seeing it with Will Levis from Kentucky.
Yeah.
But so analysts, they lulled themselves into a false sense of security with Malik Willis and kind of Desmond Ridder too. Like Malik Willis, any other draft, he's a Davis Mills type that we're talking about.
Yeah.
In terms of how when you take him later in the draft, you don't take him in the third round or wherever they took him. Right? He was a third round pick, I believe, or second round pick. Third round pick.
Third, and then Desmond Ridder was 7?
No, Desmond Ridder, I think, was the 4th. I think he was taken before Malik Willis.
Was he?
Yeah, Malik Willis was after Desmond
Yeah, but
Ridder,
because the quarterback talent was so weak, everyone was like, oh, well, these are the three guys. And people believe that they're going to be good quarterbacks. I'm sorry, I don't think Malik Willis is going to be a starter in the NFL.
No, I
Backup.
don't.
He is going to be a backup, and there's nothing wrong.
3rd round for Desmond Ridder.
Was he what pick overall? Look up Malik Willis while you're at it.
I think
if you don't mind.
I want to say
Please.
56.
But my point is,
and Malik Willis was 58.
Malik Willis.
74.
Oh,
was,
74.
Desmond Ridder.
Okay, Malik Willis, most likely a career backup type quarterback. Nothing wrong with that. No shame in that.
Oh, yeah.
Desmond Ridder, most likely the same thing. There's a reason those guys went in the 3rd round, and I don't think they should have. I think they were reaches then.
Oh, yeah.
But
86 for Malik Willis. So
Okay.
12 picks after.
Okay, yeah.
It's just
thought
like
it
they're
was right
just
after.
I just don't think they have it in them to be NFL starters. And like I said, every draft season they find quarterbacks to talk about, and they're either going to rise because of the pre-draft process or fall because of the pre-draft process. I think another great example, Zach Wilson.
I was going to say, we're going to have a lot of quarterback
Zach
talk. But
Wilson.
this is the biggest shock I had.
Like this.
I know me and Andrew watched the game together. Bobby, you didn't watch it with us,
like-
but me and Andrew were shocked that Zach Wilson. What did you think when you saw that happen?
Oh, when he got
Was he
picked?
was benched?
Yeah, exactly. Because me and Andrew were watching the game together. We're like, Zach Wilson's having a bad game. And then all of a sudden,
Like,
not Joe Flacco comes out, but Chris Strevler.
Chris Strevler
Like-
comes out.
it just shows that they are not, like, he's not the guy. Like, they're
No,
already ready to move on from him. Like,
And that was my point here is like Zach Wilson, and we fell into that trap too where we were like, oh, Zach Wilson could be a good, like we were talking about maybe the Bears try to trade for him because I thought Zach Wilson was going to be probably the last quarterback taken out of the big 4 from that draft.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden Zach Wilson's the bona fide, no doubt 2nd overall pick.
Yeah. And
I don't know what happened, but he was the guy who rose for some reason. Thank goodness, because we have Justin Fields with the
Yeah.
Bears. But Zach Wilson, great example of how they just always the way these analysts, these professionals, just make these guys come across as like the savior of your franchise when that's not what they are. Zach Wilson, which I don't want to harp on him too hard for that Thursday night game because it was just a bad game all around for the Jets.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we talked about it when he got pulled out. We didn't see anything that was like, wow, that was like a boneheaded, like stupid move. Like, how do you make that mistake? He was getting pressured a lot. He was throwing balls that were getting dropped. Balls were getting tipped where it's just like,
Yeah, he was
Josh-
under a lot
yeah,
of
Josh
duress.
Allen
I didn't see him do anything to like play him. They benched him because they needed a spark, I guess. So I get it, but like Zach Wilson didn't, like you said, Nick, he didn't do anything in my eyes on Thursday night where it was like, yeah, take him out. He sucks. He's making
No, it
a
was just-
decision. But Zach Wilson's not the guy in New York. It's over. Like for his sake, he needs to leave the Jets.
Yeah.
For anything else, the Jets need to get rid of him. And he needs to get out of there as soon as he possibly can because it's just a disaster relationship those two sides have.
Yeah, because it's like their offense was not moving the ball at all. Like
No.
the offense was not getting it done, and this was their last hope. And they're fine with pulling Zach Wilson because they've already pretty much showed that he's not the guy.
yeah.
Like,
And I think it struggles too because Mike White has had success. I think if you put
Losing
quarterback,
record, but success.
if you put quarterback after quarterback out there and no one's been able to move the ball, like I understand Brees Hall goes down. If he's in, I think there's a better season for the Jets.
yeah,
James Robinson was also inactive for the game. So you got Zonovan Knight out there, who's not that bad. He's pretty solid. And Ty Johnson is your backup running back. So you're okay out there. But I think we talked about this before. You have Garrett Wilson and
which that dropped interception. Well, that like hit off. That was a terrible drop. Like,
you have Garrett Wilson and you have Elijah Moore, which I think is two of the youngest good wide receiver.
Corey
core.
Davis is there too.
He's
Yeah.
fine.
CJ Uzama's a solid tight
Corey
end.
Yeah.
Davis is finally back in CJ. Like you have a good receiving
I
core.
was about to sneeze.
So Justin Fields has showed big signs of struggle, but who is he throwing to? Not a lot. Your offensive line bad. The Jets' offensive line was good up to this game. Mike White has had 300-yard passing games, so you can move the ball in that offense.
Also, Mike White got cleared for contact, so
He'll be back.
he'll be back
Yeah.
this week.
But that's why I threw the question in there of, is Zach Wilson the next Josh Rosen? Where
Absolutely.
I think
After
so.
2 seasons, he's completely forgotten about.
Josh Rosen got a season, dude.
Yeah, that was it.
He was on the Cardinals and then he got moved to the Miami Dolphins. So like for that second year, you knew where he was.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden
and then
he's
you just
gone.
forgot Josh Rosen existed. No, this, a part of me feels bad for Zach Wilson because I don't like giving up on a dude so quickly. However, he didn't do anything to help himself with how he handled himself after bad games. And at some point, your team needs to win now. And you have to go when you have the defense the Jets have, you have to try to win games now, and you have to give your team the best chance you can. Bob Saleh has been dealt a crap hand in terms of this quarterback situation because no matter what, he's got it. He's hurt. He's burning someone somewhere. Either he's burning the team by keeping Zach Wilson, or he's burning Zach Wilson and his front office by not using him.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, Saleh's not the one who picked Zach Wilson second overall.
No.
He may have been in on it and been cool with it. And, he has
Saleh's first year and Zach Wilson's first year were together, correct?
I actually...
because he was Urban Meyer. Yeah. No, it was last year was the first year as a head coach.
Because Sirianni and Saleh both started at the same time.
Yes.
Yep.
So Saleh, this is the hand you've been dealt. You got a quarterback that, through no fault of your own or your front office, a lot of the league was fooled by Zach Wilson coming out of college. So, if the Jets are the unfortunate team that made that mistake, that just is what it is. And you just are in a no-win situation when it comes to this quarterback. Because I don't think Mike White is your franchise quarterback.
No.
Because at the end of the day, you're throwing for 300 yards and everything. You're moving the ball. That's great. You're still losing games. You're getting superficial. Those are superficial stats in my book. Cool, you get to do them. But you know what? As a starter, you're like 3-7. You don't put up a lot of points. You put up a lot of yards. You need to get the ball in the end zone. That's the difference. But Mike White, you figure he can...
Ready for a bold claim?
What's up?
Derek Carr, starting quarterback for the Jets next year.
Nope, I'm going
Colts.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
You're going Derek Carr to the Colts?
Derek Carr to the Colts.
So you're going Jimmy G.
The Colts
to
are
the
going to do
Jets.
it again.
Jets,
Who do you think Jets starting quarterback's going to be?
I think they're going to roll with Mike White.
Mike White?
I think, and I feel like you have to. I know I'm ripping his record and everything, but you know what? Mike White moves the ball. You figure you give him like first team reps all the way through an offseason. You commit to him as your starter.
Brees Hall's back.
You got to think Mike White, those drives, all that yardage, you're going to end up in the end zone more often as well. You have no reason not to. It's tough. I don't know what is in their room, but they seem to be big fans of Mike White in that locker room.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's going to get a Davis Mills kind of chance here. Okay, you know what, Mike White? You held it down for us last year and put up some impressive games for us in relief of injury. This year, you've shown the ability to be solid and get the job done. We need to get you to close out games. We'll give you a year to try it because the Jets aren't going to be in position to go and get one of the top quarterbacks in the draft.
No.
Derek Carr is going to have to be a trade.
I was going to say, we'll move into that of Jarrett Stidham was named starting quarterback, and then Derek Carr said he's going to leave the Raiders.
He's stepping aside for the rest of the season. I don't know if the Raiders are probably going to trade him.
I think so.
It just is what it is, which, yes, he's 24 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, league leading 14 interceptions, mind you. But I just think Josh McDaniels is a cancer of a coach, and Derek Carr is going to be the fall guy for it.
Well, because when he coached the Broncos last time,
Broncos fell apart.
Who
are also falling apart this year, but
traded Jay Cutler to the Bears.
Ran with Kyle Orton.
Yeah, ran with Kyle Orton.
It's all. And then he got caught cheating actually with the Broncos as well.
Yeah, he did.
So it's like Josh McDaniels isn't a good coach.
And then
it's just
on
weird.
top of it, like now you're creating a situation like Devontae Adams went to the Raiders mostly
for Derek Carr.
Yeah, mostly because of Derek Carr, and now it is going to just create this huge controversy for the whole organization. Like if I was Devontae Adams, I would be like, all right, like if you're trading Derek Carr, then like I want to trade too. Like
the Raiders effed up so badly because they have committed to Josh McDaniels, who every time he's been given the opportunity has burned the team that gave it to him.
Yeah. And you had, like Bobby was saying, Rick Bisaccia, who I don't think anyone would have been mad. Halfway through the year, if he has a meltdown as a head coach and like, okay, he's not as good as we expected. But with what he did last year, you would expect, okay, you're getting Devontae Adams. Your team should be better. I put it in there. 3,500 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions, you said. But you have Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, and Hunter Renfrow.
Also,
you should be in Josh McDaniels' mind, if you're, a great offensive coordinator, you should have a better record than an interim head coach who stepped in because your coach got kicked out of the league.
The frustration with with the Raiders, and a lot of teams make this mistake too, is I don't think enough teams value culture in the locker room. And it's like Josh McDaniels, by all accounts, is a culture killing coach. Yeah. It just is what it is. That's the Belichick coaching tree when you look at it. Outside of Mike Vrabel, name another head coach that coached under Belichick, went on to become a head coach, and has had a lot of success.
None.
They all end up.
I can think of.
They all end up back in New England. And
calling offensive plays, even though you're
Matt Patricia, Josh McDaniels once, probably going to be twice when he's done with the Raiders. Joe Judge, they all fail because it just doesn't work. They don't know how to establish a culture. They just don't know how to do it. Josh McDaniels, I don't think he sets the tone as a coach. I don't think the locker room respects him. I know I wouldn't respect him as a coach. I think he's a scrub. I think he sucks.
Yeah.
Players aren't stupid. They know what they have in their team. They know, like, players know if their coach is legit. They won't come out and say, oh, yeah, Josh McDaniels sucks ass, but they know it, and they think it in the locker room.
Yeah. Also, you got to think, this is Josh Jacobs last year. He had a stellar year, and they're not going to pay him. Like, they're just going to let their best offensive player right now walk.
Yeah, their most productive player is going to walk.
Yeah.
You're going to go move on at quarterback, and you're not in position. You're going to be picking in that 9 to 10, 9 to 12 range.
Yeah.
And what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to make a massive trade to try and land yourself, CJ Stroud?
Unless they trade with the Bears.
Well,
we'll just say stuff has to happen.
Drawing as of right now, whether they trade with they're not trading for Bryce Young.
They're not getting Bryce Young.
Yeah.
We'll just say that for right now.
The only way a team that's not the Texans gets Bryce Young is if the Bears get the first overall pick. It's that simple.
Yeah, and then the Raiders.
And even then, the Texans might still find a way to trade into that.
Yeah.
Or the Bears might just go, I'm taking Will Anderson Jr. anyways.
Yeah.
Whatever. But at this point, let's just mark it up on our whiteboard that's not in here. Bryce Young, he's going to the Texans. Yes. By all accounts, he's going to end up on the Texans. So now your consolation is CJ Stroud or freaking Will Levis. Really? We're going to find Will Levis? I'm sorry. I don't believe it. I'm not buying it.
Besides Bryce Young, and even I'm questionable on that, how is any of those three guys going to come in and do what Derek Carr did if Josh Jacobs walks and say Devontae Adams demands trades?
Yeah.
So now you're putting a guy who's not played in the NFL with just Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow, and you're going to be like, win us this division, which is arguably still one of the hardest divisions in the NFL.
All because you went in on a lame duck head coach.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Josh McDaniels has no business being a head coach in the NFL.
No.
He sucks.
There are so much better options out there. And to me, it's, like you said, culture-wise. You look at Mike McDaniels. Everyone seems to love him in Miami. And coming from Kyle Shanahan's tree, you're like, okay, maybe he's just going to be looking to, when you're looking up to a guy like Kyle Shanahan, when you become your own coach, it's like, is he still going to be trying to look up to someone? Because you are the top. Mm-hmm. It's like Josh McDaniels is looking up for someone, and he doesn't have Tom Brady to bail him out. We get to the other coach, Nathaniel Hackett.
Doesn't have Aaron Rodgers to bail him out.
You have Aaron Rodgers to bail out, but in Denver, it made a little bit more sense. We're going to take a risk on Nathaniel Hackett, but we're also going to pair him with Russell Wilson. So he has a quarterback who should have success to lean back on. The only problem with that is Nathaniel Hackett turned around and leaned on Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was...
He's cardboard in the wind, dude. He's cardboard.
He was riding with the Broncos country straight to the toilet.
Yeah, dude. He was just riding them into the ground.
Straight to the 13 toilets that he has in his house, and is still 12.
12 toilets to 12 touchdowns. He had a touchdown pass.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he had one. So he's tied now, 12-12.
He might be able to pass.
Tie goes to the runner. In this case, that would be the bathrooms.
Yeah.
Yep.
By all, it doesn't matter. It's a pathetic season.
We just talked about this in the car ride over here today. Nathaniel Hackett should have a little bit more grace because Russell Wilson's having a terrible season. Josh McDaniels, no one on that season except Darren Waller getting hurt is playing bad. They're all playing pretty decent. So it falls.
Josh McDaniels just sucks ass, dude. I'm done beating around the bush with
him. Yeah, that's what
he
I'm
blows.
Saying. Your team is playing good and you're still losing because you're a shit head coach.
He blows. He's shit. He is. I would take Cliff Kingsbury before I would take Josh McDaniels, and I can't stand him. Cliff Kingsbury is going to be fucking fired this year, or he's gonna resign. Cliff Kingsbury will not be coaching the Cardinals next year. And let's point out when I said last year that this was his last season, Bobby, you gave me some shit for that one. And Cliff Kingsbury is going to be gone because he's ass.
That team imploded this year.
And if he does end up not coaching, this is his last year in the Cardinals, that will be my proudest take of all time is that I called it crap when they were a playoff team.
Yeah.
That I feel like a genius. And even then, Josh McDaniels, I would still take Cliff Kingsbury's bum ass as a coach over you, because at least Cliff Kingsbury can somewhat have a culture. You know, you watch their Hard Knocks during the season. I'm sure it's all falling apart.
Oh,
But
yeah, it's falling apart. But
Kingsbury, I believe Cliff Kingsbury could have built an offense with that team.
No, I think
they would have more success.
Competent coach could have built a successful offense off of that.
Josh McDaniels is just
maybe not Josh McDaniels.
Yeah,
well, he's competent. Keyword competent.
competent. Yeah.
Josh McDaniels is not a leader. He's a follower.
Yeah.
And he should follow. He should find his happy ass back in New England when he's fired. He's not going to get fired. But he will eventually get fired, and the Raiders are going to move on.
Because they have Matt Patricia as their offensive coordinator. So
he'll be the defensive coordinator. It'll make sense because, I coached offenses, so I know how to coach against them. That's how it's going to go. Just like Patricia coached defenses, so he knows how to coach against them.
Yeah.
Even though I love seeing Mac Jones just yell at Patricia, like, what the f- is this?
Or his own teammates. Why are you laddering for time?
Oh, my gosh, dude.
I
feel some type of way about Josh McDaniels. If you guys couldn't tell.
But, I mean,
him and Cliff Kingsbury get me going.
So whoever has not known it yet, on Monday, Nathaniel Hackett was let go by the Broncos. So I think that kind of set the precedent. So you never know. I mean, if they're not happy with Josh McDaniels' performance, he could be gone after one season.
No, I think they're committing to him over anything else.
Yeah, I think they're gonna give him a wash because it's Derek Carr's fault that they're 6-9.
Yeah, Derek Carr's the scapegoat for this season.
Until next year when they're 2-15.
Yeah,
and then you're like, oh, actually, it was Josh McDaniels. We're gonna get rid of Josh McDaniels.
And it's like, I'm not making excuses for Derek Carr. He's not playing very well this year.
No, he's not.
He's having a down year when he shouldn't be with the offense. But they're going to commit to McDaniels because they're watching what's happening on the field, and Derek Carr throws a game-losing interception against the Steelers on Christmas Eve. That happened. You're seeing Derek Carr throw interceptions in key situations. He's leading the league in interceptions as well, with 14, which actually is not that high. It's a lot of interceptions, but remember when we used to consistently be seeing guys in the 17 to 20? We had the famous 30 for 30 from Jameis.
Yeah.
But 14 interceptions, league leading, only 24 touchdowns to go against it. So the ratio is not very good. The offense as a whole has struggled, but they're going to look and say it's Derek Carr's fault. And this is the Raiders organization since John Gruden was signed. Oh, we're not sure about Derek Carr. We're not sure about Derek Carr. He gets you 30 plus touchdowns, 10-ish interceptions for a couple of seasons. Josh Jacobs emerges as a stud running back. We're not sure that Josh Jacobs fits our offense. MFers, you drafted the guy.
Yeah,
this is the Raiders. They always are flirting with moving on from Derek Carr or Josh Jacobs.
Yep.
And now they're going to do it.
Your only pick that turned out from the Khalil Mack trade.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
The only thing you did right after trading Khalil Mack was draft Josh Jacobs.
Yep.
And you for 2 years, 3 years, basically since his rookie year, we're talking about how he might not fit the team.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Why draft him? How stupid can you be? But that's the Raiders.
And then you
They're
trade for
incompetent
Devontae
as well.
Adams, and Josh Jacobs is still your best offensive player.
Yeah.
Any team that's willing to give Josh McDaniels a chance at head coach, you already know they're going to be a joke. They're going to fail.
And
They're gonna suck.
and not give Rich Bisaccia, who took you to playoffs.
He got you to the playoffs. He got you there in spite of everything they endured last year.
Yeah.
But it's whatever. Be stupid. You go ahead, run yourselves into the ground, attach yourselves to a scrub head coach. You guys do you.
But,
I'm going to cough.
Nice.
yeah.
But now you got guys if they move on from Josh Jacobs, I'm sorry, but Buffalo, you have to get a running back that's not your
They have
quarterback.
their first 100-yard rusher in 15 games against the Bears.
That's insane.
They're terrible. Josh Jacobs to Buffalo would be huge.
That would be insane.
Yeah, the Nathaniel Hackett thing.
I would never make a hot take that the Miami Dolphins are going to win the division if Josh Jacobs was on that team.
Me neither.
No, but the Nathaniel Hackett thing, that the writing was on the wall there.
Yeah.
And you had to do something. You cannot move on from Russell Wilson.
No,
He's your
can't.
quarterback. You're tied to him. Nathaniel Hackett, sorry, you had to go. You guys suck ass. You're not a good head coach. Your team blows. Your quarterback sucks. We pay our quarterback $250 million or whatever it is. We're stuck with him.
Yeah.
Nathaniel Hackett, and when it comes down to it, Russell Wilson's contract makes him indispensable, no matter how much he should be or shouldn't.
Oh yeah.
So Nathaniel Hackett got sent his
for-
walking papers. I bet he's happy.
I feel bad for Nathaniel Hackett because I think if he's not in that situation, like if he's on a team where it's like you didn't just spend money to go get your quarterback, I think he stays and they think about moving on the quarterback in the offseason. But in this situation, no, you can't look like the stupidest people and be like, well, we just traded for Russell Wilson, but now we're going to get rid of Russell Wilson. Like, no,
you're stuck with him. And as the season has gone on, and you've I like listening to Richard Sherman on the Thursday Night Football Crew. And when he's like going in on, like, now you're seeing all the dirty laundry from Russell Wilson's time in Seattle coming out, and you're realizing, wow, Russell Wilson, kind of a douche as a teammate. Like, finding out he wasn't well liked in Seattle. It all is you're kind of seeing it now. Like, I believe Pete Carroll masked a lot of issues between Russell Wilson and his teammates in Seattle. And Russell Wilson, now he doesn't have that going for him, and he looks like crap. Sorry, dude, you have to answer to it now.
Yep.
Like, it's the stuff you got to deal with now, and it's just kind of wild. None of us saw this coming for the Broncos. We were talking about Broncos could go for the division. We were saying the same thing about the Raiders. Remember, we were talking about, we could see 4 teams from one division squeak into the playoffs.
Yep, I was the only one.
Funny how that happened.
I put Raiders last in my mind, just because I didn't think the connection was going to be good between Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. I wasn't expecting this.
No, it's bad, man.
I was like, they're all going to have winning records, and the Raiders will just be the worst of the 4.
It's bad. But meanwhile, hey, Chargers clinched a playoff spot, so shout out to them.
Brandon Staley going to playoffs.
They did.
Which is going to be tough when they fire him for Sean Payton. No, I'm kidding. I don't think that'll happen.
I don't think so either.
But we mentioned briefly, Bills finally got their first 100-yard rusher in 15 games. Longest streak in NFL history, I believe it was.
Wow.
Embarrassing. They have no running game. It's Josh Allen. I'm pretty sure he's their leading rusher.
Well, he is.
Yeah, that's not good. Although,
last
you know
year
what?
he led the team in touchdowns. And
that's not good. But then
leading.
again, Justin Fields leads the Bears in rushing. But they're different situations.
But if you bust out an 80-yard run, it's tough to and have that happen. Josh Allen has the most carries on your team.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
That's different.
But the Bears, Christmas Eve noon game against the Bills, looked good for the first half, I will say. And then you know what? The better team came out and in the second half, which it is what it is. You knew it was going to happen with the weather to -15, like 30-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah.
People can get mad at Luke Getsy. I know, Bobby, your brother Scotty was getting mad at him. What do you expect? You're without your top 4 wide receivers. You have really strong winds. It's -15 degrees out.
And it's the Bills.
It's against the Bills, one of the best defenses in football. Well, what do you expect your offense to do in that situation? Nothing. That's what I expected them to do. Nothing. And guess what? They basically did.
Like Khalil Herbert was back. That's the only thing that was positive.
But it just is one of those games where it's like the Bears didn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to throw the ball in those conditions when you don't have a starting wide. You don't have one of your top 4 of your already pathetic wide receiving core. You don't have a single one of your 4 best crap receivers starting in the game.
Yeah.
What are you expecting the play calling to be? Yeah. It's going to be bad.
To me, it's like I get mad because it's like from the past 3 weeks, you've seen the progress the Bears have been making. It's like we're getting better. We're still losing, but we're losing. We almost beat the Eagles.
Losing competitive. That's all we wanted.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be tough for the secondary because you just played your heart out against Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense.
And they still had a good game.
And now you're playing another game against Josh Allen. And it was like, it proved. They got an interception in the first half. They played really well. But that second half, they were dog tired from last week leading into this week. Yeah. And it's cold. It's like Josh Allen is just going to tear you up. And that's what he did. And then again,
you didn't even have to. You had no push at the line of scrimmage. Yeah. You couldn't stop the run. They were averaging 8.9 yards per carry. They averaged until like halfway through the fourth quarter when they stopped running the ball a lot. And they just started taking knees. Like that's how bad it was.
Yeah. So it's like you can't. I don't understand Scotty's thing of like, oh, Luke Getsy sucks at play calling. It's like, in what world like would you have said New England's offensive coordinator sucked when it was 30-mile-per-hour? No, you can't do anything in that game. Like it's just.
It was going to be a bad game.
Now, this week when they play in the Dome in Detroit, okay, then there's no weather factor.
Yeah, so. If this was the play calling when it's like ideal conditions, that's a different story. But in my opinion, Luke Getsy this year has done enough to where I trust him as the offensive coordinator. I'm not going to rip him. First off, I don't want the Bears to win. I want them to lose. I want the second overall pick, possibly first overall if Houston wins another game. But it's like Well, what do you want your offense to do in that game? You don't have any weapons. You are not a threat to do anything with that receiving core in the condition that it's in. Plus negative 15 degrees. I'll say that again for people who don't know how cold that is. That's cold.
That's cool.
Let's go.
30 plus mile an hour winds. Try throwing a ball in 30 mile an hour winds. Give it a shot. I'd like to see you guys try. Guess what? It's going to go nowhere. It might come back to you for all you know. So it's like, I don't care that they had a very very boring offensive game plan in the second half. As far as I'm concerned, I didn't want that game to be close anymore because I'm like, if they find a way to accidentally win this game, because it was going to be, if there was a game that was going to happen, it was going to be one like that where the weather's so unpredictable, it makes it difficult for anything to happen. Like, if they find a way to accidentally win, I would have been pissed. So they lost by a lot.
Especially with the Texans winning. And then you're like,
yeah.
Could have been one game away from first.
I know. So it's like, yeah, it sucks that they didn't look great, but at the same time, I'm putting a massive asterisk next to that game because what could your expectations have been with what it was? Coldest game of the weekend, strongest wins of the weekend, no starting wide receivers. N'Keal Harry played for 3 freaking snaps.
Yep.
And that's N'Keal Harry, who I would like to see him more often, but it's like, dude, he's played like 4 freaking games.
Yeah. And he has a leg issue, which is terrible in cold weather. Like, you're not going to push it.
Yeah, and it's like, Luke Getsy has done enough this year to prove that he can run that offense.
No,
so I don't care that he had a boring game plan and the offense didn't do a lot.
You
I
know.
didn't expect them to do a lot.
The Bears coaching staff, to me, I think they've all solidified that they're pretty good. Eberflus is looking good, and I think he has all of his guys where he wants them. To me, the NFL has a bunch of other places that are like weird, like who's going to be the GM in Tennessee, who's going to be the head coach in Indianapolis, because I don't think it should be Jeff Saturday.
No.
No chance.
I mean, he's never allowed more than 6 sacks, but his team gave up 9 this weekend. That
Yeah, dude, trying out Nick Foles was stupid.
Yeah.
Goes back to what I said last week. We know what Nick Foles is as a quarterback. He sucks. Anytime, if he's not in Philly, he sucks.
And
that's what it is.
That just solidified your point.
Yeah.
That was a
You have
terrible.
that, then you have who's going to be the Broncos head coach.
There's a lot of question marks around all those positions.
Sean Payton's probably coming back, we assume.
GMs are the hardest to pick because it's just like those guys kind of just get pulled out of the woodwork, sort of. You know?
It's really like
your coaches are easier because you're usually going to just pull coordinators from somewhere else or a previous head coach from somewhere. GMs, like for Tennessee, they're probably going to go pull some like player personnel or head scout from some team and go, hey, you know what? You did really well. I watch it be someone from Buffalo, Kansas City, maybe the Chargers, maybe. So a front office that I don't think a lot of teams should look into more, and it pains me to say, Packers. Packers always seem to find a way to find talent. They're a solid front office group.
The 49ers. I feel like
49ers is another one. Like,
yeah.
You're going to pull some VP or something from there.
Do you think Louis Riddick gets a look at any openings this year? Because I know
they
talked about
he
the
gets
Bears.
a look every year, but Louis Riddick isn't taking anything unless he's getting some crazy contract.
Yeah.
He hasn't made an ESPN. First off, the thing with Louis Riddick, everyone loves him, right? How many football fans everywhere beg for Louis Riddick to be their GM? And he knows that. And the second he becomes a GM is when he looks human, right? Then now he opens himself up for all kinds of criticism. He can fail as a GM, and then boom, that can tarnish the image around Louis Riddick as a football professional. He's going to stay with ESPN. He's going to make a killing doing that. I don't think he's ever actually legitimately coming into a front office role. Maybe as an advisor, but he's never going to become a full-blown GM because that would open him up to lose too much in terms of his the perception of him.
Yeah.
So GM candidates, it'll probably be VP of player personnel from some random team. That's what it's going to be for the Titans. But I would love to be the GM of the Titans.
Yeah, you got
Personally.
That's pretty easy. Just don't trade your best wide receiver to the Eagles.
Yeah, like you have the coach, because whoever the GM is would be a fool to not commit to Vrabel.
Yeah.
No, everyone loves him.
Everyone loves Mike Vrabel. I think he has proven himself. He was a coach of the year. They were a former 1 seed in the playoffs. Like, Mike, you've got talent. You've got a coach. You've got a solid defense. You've got a solid offense. You just need to find yourself a good wide receiver because you can't rely on rookie Traylon Burks to be your guy.
No, not yet.
Not yet. He has 1 touchdown on the year, I believe.
Yeah.
Malik Willis isn't your quarterback. You have Ryan Tannehill who come back and hold it down. give you another year or two before you go and get another one of the top quarterbacks. I would love to be the GM of Tennessee. I think there's a lot of potential with that team, and you don't have to fill your coaching position, which is big.
Yeah.
Broncos, that's going to, I think that's going to be an undesirable location because of how bad Russ has been this year. I just think that's going to be a tough one to fill.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
I don't see Sean Payton returning to football to do that.
No, if Sean Payton returned, he would be returning to go coach J. Herb.
Yeah,
Chargers.
I think so. That would be like.
But they made the playoffs, so Brandon Staley's safe. Yeah. Which I never thought Brandon Staley was going to get fired.
No.
If they collapsed and missed the playoffs, maybe.
But
you have injuries on defense that kind of help him go, but look what happened. J.C. Jackson tore his patellar tendon. What can we do?
Chargers actually look good when they play the Colts. But
no, the Chargers are a team to watch in the playoffs. They clinched a playoff spot. So
yeah,
they're a team to watch. I do like the Chargers. This is good for Herbert as well, because now people are stopping like, well, he hasn't made the playoffs. He's a social media quarterback. He can't make the playoffs. Acho, you dumbass. You should be fired too. But I'm not, speaking of should be fired, Josh McDaniels. He should be fired. He's not going to be. He's staying in Vegas for at least another year before they find they're going to commit to him and go, damn, we are dumb as hell for committing to this bum.
When they're picking ninth, then they probably have to roll with Jared Stidham as their starting quarterback.
Yeah, you're what are you doing? There's no Will Levis. I'm sorry, Will Levis.
I
guess write it down. Bust. Will Levis is nobody. He's a bust.
Bo Nix, I guess at 9. That might be your.
Bo Nix is coming back to college.
Oh, is he?
He's returning to Oregon. He's returning to Oregon for his final year of eligibility, which good for him. I think Bo Nix was going to find himself in a Trubisky situation if he came out into the draft. Some team was going to be wowed by Bo Nix's run because he had a Heisman caliber season for a decent part of the year, and he was going to fool some teams into thinking he's a legit NFL quarterback, which at this point in time he is not, and a team was going to reach for him, and then his career was going to be bust.
Nope.
Bo Nix should have returned to college. I'm glad he did. I don't think he's going to be a stud in the NFL, but another year playing quarterback can completely change his development for the better. So smart on Bo Nix. He knows what he is as a quarterback. Good for him. That's a long-term move there.
Sam Hartman has entered the transfer portal.
Yes.
Leaving Wake Forest.
Illinois quarterback Tommy DeVito, his waiver was denied for an NCAA, so he cannot return for another year. So he is going to go to the NFL draft. Not that he's a top guy.
I'm going to let you know right now. I know.
It's just weird that some of those guys where it's like, they want another year in college to prove that they can do something, and sometimes they get denied. I mean, he's not a top quarterback.
Yeah, his claim to fame is he's got the same last name as Danny DeVito.
Yeah, he might get taken 7th or 8th round to be a guy who's just on your
there's
roster,
only 7 rounds.
I believe he went.
7th round.
Yeah, he went to Syracuse first.
Syracuse transferred to U of I for the last year, and then tried to get another.
Yeah, nothing's happening with that guy, but. They're going to commit to Josh McDaniels in Vegas, and they're going to fall apart and realize it's going to be too late. The damage will be done, and now they're going to be scrambling for 3 or 4 years after that. All because you went and hired a joke of a head coach who has no business being a head coach. I feel some type of way about Josh McDaniels.
I can tell. He's like your Cliff Kingsbury of last
year.
I
can't stand both of them. They're guys that are in a position that they don't deserve.
Yep.
And nothing bothers me more than when a guy is in a position he doesn't deserve. Nathaniel Hackett is another example.
Every time I see stuff, and I wanted Nathaniel Hackett to have success, he didn't. But every time I see that happen, Josh McDaniels happen, Cliff Kingsbury, I've not been as hard as Andrew has been. But then I look to guys like Brian Flores, where it's like, you had success in Miami.
Yes.
Why were you passed over for Josh McDaniels? Who's
perfect. Yes, let's go into that.
He's proven that his head coaching isn't good.
Yeah.
Nathaniel Hackett, Broncos want to take a risk on that. That's fine. But it's like, you know what Josh McDaniels is, and you know what Brian Flores is as a head coach.
Brian Flores is getting blackballed by the NFL now. And I knew that was going to happen. This is my LeCap moment, LeBron moment here. I knew the second he made those accusations about Miami, he was untouchable as a head coach. And you know what? That's his prerogative. I don't even know what's come of all of that. I know Miami lost their first round pick. But I don't even know if I don't believe it was related to the tanking accusations.
The one about he did talk about the GM, or not the GM, the owner talking to Tom Brady on a boat.
Yes, that's why they lost it. It was tampering.
That up. Yeah. No one brought up the Sean Payton stuff, so I don't know if Brian Flores even knew about that. Because why would he? Why would he know about a future coach coming to get his job? So
it's just all Brian Flores. I think he expected to make a bigger wave with everything than it actually ended up being.
Yeah.
Because it all kind of just fell aside and it's gone. Right? This is the first time we've talked about him since all that happened, really. Yeah. And I to be fair, I forgot about Brian Flores for the most part, but he brought it on himself. He's not going to be touched for a few years at least. And that just is what it is.
Which it sucks, but it's like, and it's also the Raiders. You chose, I think I would even choose a guy who's been blackballed by the NFL over freaking Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels, dude, I would go find some homeless person on the Vegas Strip and go, hey, do you know what a quarterback is? And if they said yes, I'd be like, good. You're just as smart as Josh McDaniels. Wow. You can do just as much. No, Josh McDaniels sucks.
Low blow.
That's a low blow, but he deserves it. He sucks. He sucks. Oh man, dude, we got to move on, Nick.
All right, hit us
with your questions.
It's related to coaching, but all right. So you have to pick one coach. Could be past, present, Hall of Famer, not whatever. But you have to put him into another sport. What is a coach that you're confident in? What sport would you want him to coach for your team? So he's coaching either the Bears, the Bulls, the Blackhawks, the Cubs, or the Sox.
Okay, give me Mike Ditka, Chicago Fire. But I am taking Mike Ditka, and I am putting him on the White Sox.
Okay, I thought you would go with the Sox. Would replace the Sox coach just because of it's terrible.
Yeah, I'm taking Mike Ditka. Wait, do I get him like in his prime as a coach? Am I getting like 85? Yeah. Okay, yes. Give me Mike Ditka. Put him on the White Sox. White Sox are a better team because he doesn't let shit fly.
Fair point. This is a tough one.
Good looking at
any coach, right? Like,
I'll go. Well, you take.
Give Bobby some time. He's on the spot.
To me, give me Tommy Tibbs as the Bears head coach. He doesn't know much about. He's going to need a good defense coordinator. He's going to need a good offensive coordinator. But to me, watching that team,
he's a leader, man. He's a leader.
From 2010 to when they finally got rid of him to go to Fred Hoiberg, he made people want to play basketball, and like they played hard. They were scoring. Other teams were scoring 60 points when every other team was averaging like 110, 120. Now they lost a lot of those games.
They were a playoff team for a few years.
They only gave up 60 points, and that was after Derrick Rose got hurt. So Jimmy Butler, unproven Jimmy Butler, was your stud player, and you're
Nate
still
Robinson
making the
going
playoffs.
out there in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Thibodeau,
put him as a head coach where he's not scheming on defense. You need your defensive coordinator to do that.
Yeah,
but I just want him out there making the guys want to play hard.
That's why I went with Ditka. I wanted a leader. I wanted to hold down the locker room. Plus, baseball, he doesn't need to have the greatest understanding of it. That's the least. This is going to sound bad. Least strategic sport to head coach.
Yeah, especially now with all the analytics where everyone knows. Like even the players know. They're like, he's going to probably hit it to left center.
Like I'm sorry, their big thing is like deciding intentional walks. Who to pull out of the bullpens, pinch runners, pinch hitters, etc. I don't want to sound like an idiot, but I feel like I have a good enough knowledge of the game to where I could do that effectively. But whatever, I want Ditka's culture. Thibodeau's a great choice as well. I like that one. They played for him. He had the culture. He was a good leader, good locker room presence. I'm a fan of that one. I like that. All
right, give me Mike Tomlin.
Oh, okay.
Coaching some Bulls. I think he'd be able to do it.
Mike Tomlin on the Bulls.
Bulls.
I feel like Tomlin's a good culture guy.
Suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Mike Tomlin. Hall of Famer.
Just to be able to keep Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, and not have any problems for years on end, it's amazing. That man has a great culture.
He knows what he's doing. He's a leader. He is a leader. Also, I like that pick as well.
If they win one more game, not having a losing season.
They go 9-8?
I think so. They just got to win one more.
And we really thought that was.
I think they're 7-8 right now.
So, maybe
they have to win 2.
Yeah, they have to win 2.
Because you can't go 8-8 anymore.
Yeah, that's true. So they have to win 2 more games.
They have to win out.
They have to win out. You won't have a losing season.
Which is Ravens and then I think Bengals.
Oh, that's going to be tough for the Bengals.
I don't know.
I don't know. He might have
do it. Mikey T is.
Yeah,
Mike Tomlin's got it.
I like that. I would like to see him be a basketball coach.
I feel
it's a little bit less you only got to coach 5 guys instead of 52.
Imagine if you trip someone on the sideline.
Yeah.
Hey,
well,
that'd be funny.
They actually had that Jason Kidd sub. I don't know if you've ever seen this video, but Jason Kidd was out of timeouts and he did timeout. So the guy was going to check into the game and he was like, bump into me. And he bumped into me, threw his water on the court. So they just stopped the game.
Oh my God.
I was like, that's such a Mike Tomlin move.
That is.
That's some shiesty stuff there. I like it. But that's probably a good place to wrap it up. Bobby, you did the intro. You want to do the outro?
No, it's all you, man.
All right,
We'll
fine.
do the
I'll
outro.
do it, even though my voice is really starting to go. No, thank you guys for tuning in and listening. I hope you like what you heard and enjoyed the conversation. If you, like I said, if you did like what you heard, please give us a follow on all of our social media. Share us with some friends who might be interested in what we have to say. And if you have any suggestions, reach out to us on social media, DM us, whatever. We're always open. Email as well, GTS Podcast 1. Or no, just no,
GTS Podcast 1.
GTS Podcast 1 at gmail.com. Been a while since I had to throw that one.
Yeah,
out.
you did.
That's why I wanted to say it.
I appreciate it. But thanks, guys, for tuning in. We will talk to you next week.
See ya.
Have a happy new year.